Awesome. It looks like we're live and people are coming in. Probably going to take a little bit for everybody to get here. For those who don't know, I'm Rob Slaughter. I'm one of the co-founders here at Defense Unicorns, and we're thrilled and honored for those of you who could make it during either the live session or for those of you that are watching this recorded.
And I'm Andrew Greene, also a co-founder, unicorn engineer at Defense Unicorns. Super excited that you guys are here, honored that so many people attended or are so interested in us talking about whatever it is we are doing here, which we absolutely figured out within the last 24 hours. So I think we're golden, good to go. Excited to be here. Thank you.
And I guess that leaves me, but before I actually introduce myself, I want to introduce someone that I believe my identity is tied to here at Defense Unicorns. This is Hagrid, and I like to believe that Hagrid is actually the inspiration for Doug. So you're welcome. I brought our unofficial mascot to the LinkedIn Live event. He's ready to go. He's dressed up, ready for your questions. No, but in all seriousness, my name's Victoria. I recently just left active duty Air Force. My last official day was in February to join Defense Unicorns. Spent my time predominantly in acquisitions, rounded out my career really supporting Platform One and scaling DevSecOps across the DoD. I loved it so much that I was crazy enough to come join this company. I am excited here to tell everyone what we do and specifically get to share it with my family that this is not a toy company and we actually are a business. And that I'm not moving into mom and dad's business or basement in 6 months. So with that, I'll hand it back over to Rob.
Awesome. So as most people who follow us on LinkedIn know, we're very, very, very active in the community. The DoD, secure infrastructure systems, software systems, like we're very, very passionate about open source in the broader community, but we don't actually talk about ourselves and what we do from a business perspective, a lot of times because the work we do is pretty sensitive. And so we got enough questions from a number of people saying like, what do you guys do? We're interested. And so we just wanted to have a live session with everybody and just kind of go over the basics and just kind of cover what we do here at Defense Unicorns. Andrew, are you slides ready-ish? Awesome. So who is Defense Unicorns? It's a collection of different people. As Victoria mentioned, similar to her, prior active duty, worked a lot with the Air Force and DoD software factories. At Defense Unicorns, we have a number of personnel from the IC community, a number of personnel that are active in the AI community. We have a number of personnel that came from different tech startups, whether that was Facebook or Google or a variety of different software companies. All of these sort of great minds, we've done a really, really awesome job of getting amazing talent to be focused on problems that I think in general don't get the attention otherwise would deserve. So what is Defense Unicorn? If you can or can't, please let me know because, there it goes. It went back for a second. Our mission is to streamline software delivery so you can focus on the most important problems. That's really key here. A lot of the times when we're working with different mission customers, what we find is that they are tasked with a very, very important, very serious mission problem. And they probably get to spend less than 5 to 10% of their time actually worried about that mission problem because they are spending 90% of their time fighting IT systems, fighting systems are available, fighting bureaucracy, fighting process. It's almost exhausting the amount of effort it takes to do anything in a lot of the systems that we work in. We exist as a company to just make those challenges a lot easier. And by making them easier, we free up your time to go focus on the things that matter most. So, as mentioned before, we spend a lot of time for those folks that follow our podcast. Thank you. We also have a book club. We radiate information as much as possible. But there is one specific thing we do here as a company at Defense Unicorns, and that is we make secure software delivery easy. And so all of the customers we work with, it's all the same problem, which is how do you take a system, something that you know is going to provide mission value, and actually get that integrated with the actual system that you're working in. A lot of the customers that we work in, are working in, classified or disconnected environments. Some of the customers we're working in are working on commercial systems that may be connected, and they just want more security around what they're doing. But everybody's kind of having the same pattern of problems, which brings me to what is the problems that we're focused on Defense Unicorns. So we'll talk about the problems before we talk about really what is our solutions. Deploying secure software is incredibly complex. Software continues to get more, not less complex. And by becoming more and more complex, it becomes harder and harder and harder to manage systems. And so that's, especially true for secure infrastructure customers. And that's because it has to be not only fast, but secure. And so what we've seen across the ecosystem is there's a massive talent gap of the people who are actually capable of managing these complex solutions and the number of people available. And there's no greater example than really with government systems, especially the Department of Defense, because you're dealing with a limited subset of companies and personnel that can actually get the clearances that they need. And so when you finally get the opportunity to really solve a really important, challenging problem, what you find is there are very, very, very few talented resources to go around. There's also a lack of freedom of choice for the systems that do work. And what we mean by that is, you want to be able to build something, but build something that doesn't, really lock you into future decisions. A lot of the systems that we work with are, 20, 30, 40, projected to be still in existence 50 years from now. You want to make sure that if you make a decision today, that you have the ability to, in some way, shape, or form, pull out of it and still operate the system that you're working with. The sheer number of systems is truly incredible. One of our largest customers, the Department of the Navy. The Department of the Navy operates hundreds of ships. All of those ships have multiple servers. And so if you look at the sheer size of just how many systems that you'd have to support, it's incredibly, incredibly daunting. And we're also in a major values competition. And so there's, world engagements that are happening. And part of those world engagements is really this difference of opinion of how one governs. In the United States, we have a certain way of life that at this company we greatly appreciate, and we want to defend and put our country, both from a capabilities perspective and economic perspective, at the greatest advantage we can. Next slide. So how are we going to solve this problem? The first thing I'm going to talk about is really what is a declarative platform, and then specifically talk about Big Bang exactly. And then we're going to talk about this thing called Zarf, which Andrew is going to introduce, and what custom Zarf packages entail. And then Victoria is going to talk about education and training and some of the stuff that we do here at Defense Unicorns. Next slide. So what is a declarative baseline? This is really the foundational principle in many ways of what Defense Unicorns is really focused on. A declarative baseline is, a simplified version of how you can look at that is you can represent the state of your system as code. So you can define the state and then redistribute that state in whatever environment you go. Every environment you adds cost to your sustainment bill. And so one of the things we looked at as a company in partnership with Project Blue, one of the Navy software factories, is myself and Lieutenant Bridger Smith and Caitlin Castell and Dr. Joe Bradley wrote a paper looking at this GitOps hypothesis, which was, what is the cost trade-offs of approaching systems in this declarative way versus approaching systems in an imperative way, which the way to look at an imperative type system is like a procedural way upon which you might install a system. And the issue with the procedural way in many cases, and you find this across the DoD, is things like probability of mistakes and not actually declaratively knowing the current state of the system at any one time. And so we spend a little bit of time figuring out from a math perspective, how much does this differential between declarative and imperative states, what is that sort of like overall cost? And what is the difference between approaching systems in a declarative way versus approaching systems in an imperative way? Next slide. What we found was the cost savings was astronomical, like more than I think people fully realize. What that means is that from like a pure cost perspective, it is very, very, very difficult to manage many systems when the system itself is changing where you go. Put it another way, from our perspective, from like a program office perspective, if programs aren't leveraging a common platform, the costs associated with multiple programs becomes too expensive for those programs to actually deliver capabilities for the relevant mission environments, because each individual program itself would have to eat a huge cost. And so, put another way, and you see this, kind of across enterprise systems as they scale. There's been a lot of amazing innovation efforts, many of which a lot of the folks at this company helped start. And the amount of value they get in those early days is truly incredible. And then they get a ton of traction behind those first couple applications out the door. But what it ends up, really, really hurting is the ability to scale from 1 application, 2 applications, 3 applications into 30 applications, or from 1 or 2 environments into 10 environments, into 20 environments. And that overall cost to scaling, you don't notice these, fine details between fully declarative and what's imperative, but those costs really add up and matter. Put a different way, if you don't build a system in a declarative way, you won't have the ability to deploy your system in all of the environments you want or all of your mission capabilities, because it's going to be too cost prohibitive. And with that, I'll turn it over to Andrew to talk a little bit about Big Bang.
Hey, everybody. Thanks. So going back a walk down memory lane for a second, if we go back to 2020, 2021, there's a lot of people in the Pentagon and all the way down to the ground level that were working on this thing called the DevSecOps reference design, which was later published around that same time by the DoD CIO's office. Behind the scenes of the inner workings and the collaboration putting together that document and that reference design, existed Platform One, and right before that, Space Camp, that was really recognizing this problem of like having non-declarative environments doesn't scale, it's challenging, it's expensive. And so right around that same time of the publishing of that report is the reference design, and Platform One had been working on the technical implementations of that reference design itself. Enter Big Bang, right? So what is Big Bang? Big Bang is a declarative baseline that has all the things you would need for secure software delivery and secure runtime environments. And as we dig into Big Bang itself, what is it? It's a bit more than that, right? It's a hard problem, having non-declarative baselines, putting all these things out there so that you can actually realize those cost savings, and most importantly, savings in the longevity of the mission, the things that actually matter to us. For Big Bang, one of the things that I have ran into quite frequently in talking to various organizations and entities and program offices is this pesky little thing called acquisitions and the cost of licenses, right? So I have heard many times, and I'm sure you guys have as well, that like, oh yeah, we'd love to get started on this thing. We just gotta, buy that license, right? And then 3, 6, 9 months later, okay, we have that license. Let's start doing work and deliver for the mission. One of the things that I absolutely love about Big Bang is the open source nature of it, right? And so I won't read through all the things on the slide right here, but we have Big Bang Core has open source versions to solve your secure runtime environment in a declarative way. And to top it off, it's not only an open source solution that like one company is producing. There are dozens of people contributing to this baseline, and even more than dozens. I don't know what the exact number is, but many people also consuming this environment as a declarative baseline. So not only do we have single missions on declarative baselines that are realizing those cost savings, but we're also helping the entire defense community that is running these secure operational systems. Here's the thing, it's a hard problem. Having secure runtime environments is hard. And just because we have a solution that is Big Bang doesn't mean that that solution is easy. That solution is also hard. it is difficult to pick up Big Bang. There's lots of people continuously working on making that easier and better, but it still doesn't change the very nature of the problem space. So doing Big Bang is difficult. It's hard. Secure software delivery is hard. So if you've been following Defense Unicorns on LinkedIn, you noticed about a week ago, we announced our swag store. And I'm really excited today to share with you guys a few more additions to that store. First, we have our Russian vintage silver teacup, which is a Zarf. That will be available in the store very soon. We also have the Zarf submarine cup holder, which will also be very available very soon on the store. Look forward to that. We're really hoping to drive our annual recurring revenue through the sales of these products, and just really looking forward to sharing these great products with you guys. I totally kid. That's not true. We care about the mission. What I really want to point you to is Zarf. And at the bottom, zarf.dev, you can go see lots of information about that in general. But what is Zarf? Zarf is a tool that is trying to make declarative deployments easy and repeatable. So then let's go one step further. Wait a minute, there's a lot of different mission capabilities that are developed by a lot of high caliber people, expertise, subject matter experts that understand the mission and the environments and all this stuff. And then we have this a whole other complication around my infrastructure and my environments. Is it on-prem? Is it cloud? Is it a legacy architecture? Is it edge devices? What are all these things? There's a lot of diversity and challenges in the space that we live in. Zarf is working very, very hard to take your software, your mission capability that helps the warfighter, and create a framework and a solution to make it easy and repeatable to package up that stuff and deploy it to the target environment, regardless of the infrastructure. There's lots of good ways to do this, and there's a lot of technical details in there. But at the end of the day, we want to front load the expertise, the people that are building the mission capabilities, the people that have spent their entire career understanding the domain and the mission space, and make it easy to deliver secure software. How easy is it going to be? Well, it is so easy that even Victoria's daughter was able to deploy Zarf. Victoria herself, who is a contracting officer. I want to show you guys exactly what that is.
I almost had my child come do the demo for everyone, but unfortunately, someone scheduled this LinkedIn Live during nap time, so she's unable to make her appearance. So next time.
These are also the excuses that you get to deal with if you join the Defense Unicorns team. We have a lot of people like Victoria making excuses. I'm totally kidding. So I want to show you guys Zarf itself. So on my screen, this is the terminal command line interface. There's not a whole lot to it. It's just fancy windows. On the right side, you see the couple of commands that I'm going to run. On the left side, you have the beautiful ASCII art of Zarf itself. I have ran Zarf init, which just established the deployment environment, which in this case is my local machine. I also have another one where I'm deploying to some servers in my basement. And that's what's going on here. So I ran Zarf init, and that deployed Zarf into my target environment. I have a Zarf package, and I'm going to run Zarf package deploy with this games example. This entire deployment process is completely automatable, meaning I don't have to run in the interactive mode. I don't have to run the command itself. I could have a pipeline job. I could have an automated system running these things and such. Already, I have deployed this Zarf games example, and right before I show you guys what this actually is, leading into this, I previously built a Zarf package that had everything inside of it for that declarative baseline, and I could completely disconnect to the internet if I didn't want to actually show you guys and do the same deployment without any dependencies. So if I run this utility command, Zarf connect games, this opens up a tunnel to Zarf games that are deployed in here. And so now for the rest of the demo, you guys are going to see me do speed runs of Mario, which is going to be a really bad time for you because I'm actually not quite good at Mario. I don't even know how to jump. So that's how good that is.
And want to add, like the game example, it's literally one of our favorite ones. So you'll see us go to it all the time. But from a mission perspective, there's huge utility in it because what it represents is a lot of these video games are super old. like, you know, these are DOS-based video games in a lot of the examples. And what we're trying to show you is the power behind both the simplicity and the ability to integrate, you know, modern cloud native capabilities with capabilities that, you know, might be similar to the systems you work with today, which might be, you know, a little bit more legacy. And, you know, when they were first invented, probably didn't know what the heck Kubernetes was, because Kubernetes wasn't around at that time.
Yep. And so I wanted to show you guys also just really quickly, what does it actually take to have a Zarf package in place? In the case of that games example I just showed you, this is it. There's 16 lines of configuration that even Victoria could put this together. But the most interesting thing is we're talking about Big Bang. Big Bang is a hard solution to a hard problem. Zarf is treating Big Bang as a first-class citizen to make it easier to deploy that entire capability. And so in here, I have a Zarf configuration for Big Bang itself. And as we look, it is exactly 38 lines of configuration. Some of those are comments. So, you know, we're talking 20 lines or so of configuration where I could come in here, I could specify in variables about my environment, the domain I may be wanting to run it at, and so on and so forth. And then I can also specify which Big Bang version I would like to deploy. That is the entire thing in here. I love this piece in Zarf. Big Bang, as somebody who's deployed Big Bang numerous times, it is truly not easy. There is a lot to it. There's a lot of pieces to understand. There are people that can become experts in each one of the specific applications, whether that's Istio or NuVector or monitoring and logging, all these things. But Zarf integration of Big Bang abstracts all that away from the end user so that anybody could run the same exact two commands I did for a trivial games example, Zarf init and Zarf package deploy, and get Big Bang. Back to you, Rob.
Awesome. I see a couple questions, so just gonna take a second to answer that. So Thomas, in all seriousness, I'm curious the time saved with the way Zarf simplifies everything compared to what you used prior to it. And so the way you look at time saved is kind of different, because the biggest, I think, emphasis here is highly distributed systems. And so, you know, even in a single production instance, you still have your production environment, you have like your staging environment, and then you have your development environment. And a lot of people actually has, you know, potentially even dozens of different teams, different contractors, all working on the problem. And so there's not like an exact answer per se, because like what you're dealing with, the total amount of time saved increases with each system. We have data to support what that looks like for your first system. And you're looking at like about half the time to do that initial deployment, which is significant for these systems. That time includes the ATO for the systems that we're most familiar with. But the time savings, and I think the big oh wow moment, is it's not that even that first 50%, it's the amount of time that you continue to save and increase with as you go from 2 systems to 3 systems to 4 systems to 5 systems to a lot of people different, you know, environments. They're talking 50 systems, because remember, once again, you know, you have your prod environment, you have your staging environment, you have your dev environment. Each environment is 3 environment. How many contractors do you have? How many sites do you have? You have stuff on-prem, you have stuff, you know, in the cloud. If you were to actually take some time to say, quote, how many environments do I have? It becomes very daunting when you realize how many times you need to replicate the exact same system in all of these different environments. And so hope that answered your question, Thomas. And I don't know if there'll be another question gets pulled up here. What do you call a group of unicorns?
You know what, Rob? I don't know if we're going to address that question. Just joking. Hey, buddy, that's my brother, if anyone is questioning.
I like it.
It's a blessing, just like it is a blessing to have my brother trolling me on this LinkedIn Live.
But wait, are you going to answer his question?
Yeah, it's a blessing, right? It's a blessing. It's a blessing to have him, supporting his sister. But real quick, Rob, I actually want Andrew to jump in here, because I love to use the analogy of how much time it takes him to deploy the Big Bang with Zarf. So actually, Andrew, back over to you.
What she really wanted to give me an opportunity and a platform for is, what is the official name of a unicorn horn? I won't give you the answer. You have to figure that out yourself. But I will let you know that in ASL, if you make an R with your hand and do this, that is the sign for unicorn. So we end all of our meetings with a unicorn break in there as well. With Big Bang, previously when I would deploy Big Bang straight from the source, the chart of charts example exactly, I would have to I would have to make sure that I have a internet connection to the registry that has all those images inside of it, configure the Helm charts in a way that is appropriate, and then deploy it to whatever my target environment would be. And the initial command to install the underlying technical framework there is pretty straightforward. And then you wait for Big Bang to deploy and hope you don't run into issues or anything. With Zarf deploying it, it turned into a completely hands-off minus Zarf package deploy. And then I would stare at my screen and see everything progressing in a happy manner. And then I would literally walk away, go eat lunch, catch a show with my family, hang out with my daughter, come back, 45 minutes later or so to see Big Bang completely deployed. And I've done that several times, and the Zarf team itself is actively maintaining this feature and testing this out in automated manners as well. So it's super cool, and I can't say enough how much awesome of a feature it actually is.
And there was an awesome question from I think Brianna that talked about, does this help with the ATO process? Big Bang itself, for a lot of the environments we work on, when you include the infrastructure as code aspect of things, can be responsible for about 70% of the overall controls that you work with. Now, of course, that's not a fixed number because controls changes per your environment, unclass to SAP versus, sensitivity of the system. Even on the commercial side, you still have some type of review of quote system ready. And so from our perspective, it doesn't count if it's not in production. So we don't count systems until they're actually accredited in terms of time savings. And we actually, I think in one of the next slides, we'll actually go over the numbers that we have from a current customer perspective. But Big Bang helps with your overall controls. Zarf allows you to easily distribute that code and make it a lot faster to deploy that to a number of systems. Do you want to, John, there's another question. So enablement of legacy code development beyond the deployment, is there an improvement on that legacy software at scale, or does it make the legacy software better? I can give you an example that we've encountered. Imagine you work in an environment with old Fortran code. Okay, I'm sure none of you work in any legacy environments that might have old Fortran code. It is possible to containerize old Fortran in various ways, so I won't talk about the ways you can do it. The thing about old Fortran is when it was made, it probably wasn't necessarily. And so there's been a lot of new innovations around how do you multi-thread things, how do you spin up a bunch of different things. And so to give you an example, one of the examples that we've encountered with the mission customer is you could take legacy code, containerize it, put it on Kubernetes, and now you can actually spin up all of these instances to take a piece of code that wasn't multi-thread and turn it into something that actually feels like it can leverage the capabilities of an HPC. So hopefully answers your question a little bit. If there's not any other questions, might go on to the rest of the slide deck. So next part of the talk, we're going to talk a little bit specifically about what we offer as a company. And so it's really, centered on four things. We give people a platform so that way they don't have to worry about sustaining and enabling their own platform system. And I'll get into sort of why that's so powerful. The specific platform that we deal with is Big Bang. And, when we do an engagement with another customer, we're always open to, hey, Big Bang won't work. And every customer we've encountered, what we find out is that, quote, Big Bang will. And it doesn't mean that Big Bang out of the box, but it means Big Bang slightly modified can actually hit the mission need. And we'll go over that as well a little later. And the other thing we do is full mission environments. So the infrastructure, the platform, and we don't build mission apps, we don't build the capabilities, but we package up your mission capabilities and deliver it to your production environments. And then Victoria will talk a little bit about the training. Next slide. So platform offering, Defense Unicorns manages its own Big Bang distro. What that means is Platform One's Big Bang with product support with our specific custom value files. And so, Platform One does an amazing job of building this amazing Big Bang tool, but the tool and capability itself has to be configured for specific environments. We've taken the lessons learned we've had in Big Bang across a number of production instances and are providing our opinionated configuration for that Big Bang product. The other thing we've done is the Defense Unicorns Big Bang distro is only the open source products on Big Bang. And so we specifically support the open source aspects. There's a number of products within Big Bang, some with licenses, some without. The specific Big Bang distribution that we support is the one that's fully open source. It's agnostic to Kubernetes distribution. And so we don't necessarily come in with high opinions. Given if you don't have an opinion, we'll come in with the one that's easiest. But if you come in with a strong opinion because you feel really passionate about what who you're working with and what you're doing, we're not here to say not to do that. And the capability itself has the ability to be agnostic. And then we work with both cloud and on-prem deployments. The biggest takeaway here is if you think about a new IT and platform team, you can kind of subdivide it into a couple different categorizations that I think people kind of gloss over. You have the people who are making the platform, the people who are literally assembling the platform and developing it. You have the people who are maintaining the platform, meaning it's running in production, it's day 2 operations. Hey, do you have the latest version of this? Did you get the latest patch out? Is the system available? And then you have the engineers that are leveraging the platform from a platform engineering perspective and making sure that developers who sit on top can use that platform to deliver, software solutions. Too many times, too many organizations, they make that team the exact same team. So it's a single team actually managing all of it. A lot of times what happens is in the quote early days, they focus on developing the platform. And then they start to get the platform running up and the development of the platform starts to suffer. And then when they start onboarding customers, maintaining the platform takes a lot of time, effort, energy. Building the platform takes a lot of time and energy and effort. And they end up spreading themselves too thin. And what ends up happening is poor customer service on the developer experience side. And so anybody who's worked, any of the software factories or on the commercial side, that overall developer experience has business and mission outcomes and impacts. The better that experience is and the less time they have to, fight the pipelines and fight the platform, the better your mission system, the better your business system is going to become. And so what we do as a company is enable you to not have to worry about those first 2 things because the apps are available. We're taking care of configuration. You might be the ones to install it, but that's the power of Zarf. It's literally just 2 commands. And then once it's deployed, it's up and available. And now your best and brightest people can actually focus more closer to the actual mission value itself. There's probably a lot of people asking there, what if I don't want Big Bang? Which is, I think, a fantastic question. It's probably one of our most commonly asked questions. What we've seen is a lot of times when people say that, when we dive into what they're actually doing, what we see is it's actually mostly the exact same tools in Big Bang. And so they might say things like, I've tried Big Bang, it doesn't work. I can't use Big Bang because I want this tool or that tool or not a different tool. And Andrew, can you go to the next slide? And so what we focus on is extending Big Bang to other applications that fit your need. And so I'll give you a common example that we see. And sometimes people use the word Big Bang interchangeably, Big Bang Core with Platform One's Big Bang umbrella. But to give you kind of an example of a commonly supported app on Big Bang is something like GitLab. A lot of folks within the community use GitLab running on Big Bang, but then there's a ton of people across the community who also use Jenkins. And Jenkins isn't necessarily supported. Jenkins is the type of thing that is, if you've invested your mission system in something like that, but you still want to use Big Bang, you may find out that, oh, well, Big Bang doesn't have this, I can't use it. The reality is you can. You can take the goodness of Big Bang and extend it to really any third-party app with the Helm chart. And that ability to modify and extend and adapt Big Bang, we have found is incredibly powerful. And the key benefit, once again, it goes back to cost. the more time you spend making platforms, sustaining platforms, the less time you're going to spend on business value and mission value. Next slide.
And Rob, right before you do this one, there's a couple of questions that I want to get too far away from, if you don't mind. So the first one on my list is from Gerald, a unicorn. Just kidding. That gives the answer to my trivia. I don't actually want to talk about that right now. The first one I actually want to talk about, you are correct, Gerald, though. Thanks. You win. You win a gold star and 1 million unicorn sprinkles. Thomas Peterick, in developing the Zarf, what was the biggest challenge defense unicorns faced? Is it still a challenge to this day? As not a core developer on Zarf, I'm going to give my best shot at this answer. Easy enough. If you go to that zarf.dev website, there is a Kubernetes Zarf channel. And in that channel, you can talk to the core developers of Zarf itself if you want to dig deeper into it. But I mentioned earlier that in the case of secure runtime environments, it's a hard problem. And just because a hard problem has a solution doesn't mean that that solution is necessarily easy. And that's what I would chalk up the Zarf development. Zarf has done a lot of intimate, low-level work and has been required to have a deep understanding of the underlying technologies to bring it together in a way that is seamless and a fantastic user experience. And just to like rattle off the list of that, you have to understand things about Kubernetes itself. You have to understand about Helm chart libraries. We had an engineer on our team do a super deep dive into OCI specs to improve the registry and how we store these things. So the hardest problem in this is just like, it's an engineering problem. You have to really understand all of the systems that you're interacting with so that you can abstract them one level, implement the code in Zarf, and put that together in such a way that it truly is as easy as Zarf package deploy, regardless of all the other things. And then there's another question in here that I lost, but one second, that I really wanted to answer from Ryan Neal, I believe. It makes a lot of sense. Declarative systems would outperform imperative systems. What keeps us from developing declarative systems everywhere? I would love to get other people's take on this, Rob and Victoria, but I think like the biggest thing that I have observed in the groups and program offices and people that I talk to is actually twofold. One is information, and two is barrier to entry. So there's a lot of misinformation. A lot of people just don't know what is Big Bang, what is it trying to solve, what is the philosophy behind it, and like love to solve that problem and provide that information. The second big piece of this is there is a large barrier to entry, right? There's a lot of very smart people that have taken Big Bang and deployed it, intelligent, experienced engineers, when I say smart people, and like really deploy that into their systems. But there still is a decent amount of configuration that you have to have in place in order to actually leverage that solution, which is, shameless plug. Thanks for the opportunity, Ryan. Zarf makes it easier. So there's that. But I wanted to take a minute on those two questions.
Yeah, just to add on to the declarative state comment. If you read the paper that I referenced earlier on the overall cost of declarative and imperative states, that upfront cost is what stops people. Is they want, in order to build systems the right way, sometimes you do have to go slower up first. And so like, a big important, the boss needs a demo next week. That type of pressure, when applied incorrectly, leads to people cutting corners and building things in ways that they know they shouldn't. And compounded over time, that's how programs kind of spiral down this thing. And like I said, you don't feel the effects early on, where you feel the effects are 1, 2, 3 years later. And people, it's very, very difficult to say, hey, this is going to take me 50% longer, 75% longer to build it the right way. You don't always have that choice. Sometimes the mission demands that you get something out there, and then you have to, after the fact, kind of make sure it's correctly. One of the nice things, though, is that declarative baseline is already ready. Infrastructure as code supported by defense unicorns, is already ready. If people want those things, like, we have the ability to stand up incredibly quickly because we've already taken those time to actually build those systems. And so you've seen throughout the presentation, hello at Defense Unicorns. Anything that we're saying is interesting to you guys, you want to take, next steps and just come talk to us. just shoot us an email at that hello@defenseunicorns.com, and somebody will, get in touch with you. The slides.
He's Andrew.
That's not me. That's not me.
Oh, okay. Oh, there we go. I think this is my turn. I mean, I thought I was only here as our unofficial mascot handler, but more than happy to talk about training. Defense Unicorns, we are so passionate about training. We feel it's our way to kind of give back to our community and kind of build into our ecosystem. For us, currently training, we have a couple offerings that exist. First one being we have free training that is out there today with the Linux Foundation. This one is specific towards introduction to DevSecOps managers. Really what we focus on in this training is how do we provide managers and leaders just that, foundational skill set that they need to help lead their digital teams through their digital transformation or just DevSecOps journey in general. So it's out there today. Definitely take a look at it. We are also currently working on leveraging our experience in deploying secure software into air-gapped environments to develop training once again the Linux Foundation on just that. So we're currently actively working that with the intent of publishing that in the fall timeframe. We also have free training at Zarf, like just everything's free over here. Free training at Zarf. Our intent with this training is to ensure everyone that's interested in Zarf and learning about Zarf, using Zarf, has all the training and resources that they need. What gets me really excited about this training is the fact that it's not static. The intent of this training is that every single time there's a new release, a new feature release, that it is followed up with a video or a walkthrough explaining exactly what that feature is, what it does, how to use it. Like I said, our goal is to make sure everyone that wants to use Zarf has the access to the resources that they need. What I am most excited to share about is the announcement of Unicorn Academy. I know it sounds a little bit like Hogwarts. I promise you it will be just as magical, if not more. But Unicorn Academy, we're looking at a couple different options here. The content, once again, for Unicorn Academy will be free, but we will have essentially a virtual cohort with a paid option to access some of our instructors. We're looking at a 3-day introductory level course, as well as a 3-month longer engagement option, providing access to our instructors. We are adamant that this type of instructor engagement is key to truly enabling teams, to truly enabling learning. And so much so that we are making sure that that's an offering for everyone. So the content of Unicorn Academy is really not just focused on deploying into highly regulated environments, but it's also just general complexities of delivering and deploying secure software capabilities. So yeah, exciting stuff with training. Now, if you go to the next slide, this is actually a picture of our company at our latest retreat in Las Vegas this past March. My hope is today that you walk away with a good understanding of the problem we want to solve, right? And how we plan to solve it. My goal is to really explain why us, why work with us, right? We judge our success at this company based on our ability to actually get mission applications into production environments. That's how we value success, right? We are in the business to actually scale that mission impact, more so over ARR. I think what really makes us different is truly our authenticity. If I could say the word, that would help. Authenticity, talent, and our ability to access the absolute best talent out there. And then our focus and true dedication to open source. All of this, when I say focus and dedication to open source, I want to explain that everything that we've shared here today is open source. Technically, you don't need us, right? You could do this on your own. If you don't like us, you can walk away from us. Our whole goal is we are here to support you. You should never have a license cost with what we actually provide. You're not locked into us. And to me, with my specific background in DoD acquisitions, this really hit home for me when joining Defense Unicorns, because I came from those acquisition environments where you are locked in to one vendor, right? You do a competitive solicitation, you get someone on contract, and then your hands are tied, right? You are beholden to that vendor, their timeline, and their ability to deliver mission capability. When joining Defense Unicorns, it was very important to me to work with a group of people that fundamentally believed in competition and delivering the best products as possible. So yes, we are very adamant that we are going to deliver the best solutions and make it that anyone can also do the same. Little segue, little analogy here, because Andrew and I love analogies. When you look at how you build the tallest building, right? There are essentially two options, right? You could destroy all the buildings around you, and by default, you're the only one left. Therefore, you are the tallest building. The other option is the option that we believe in and strive to achieve each and every day. We want the competition. We believe we have the best talent, the best unicorns to do this. And it is our intent to build the tallest building with competition. That's how we're going to deliver the most mission impact. So hopefully that sells you on why work with us. If you go to the next slide, hoping to talk a little bit on the value proposition. I'm going to be cognizant of time. I mentioned we value success, right? And we define our success by our ability to actually deliver mission applications into production environments, but that is also based on our speed to do so and the security that we implement, right? When you look at our value proposition, this is actually a snapshot of one of our customer environments, and leveraging our Defense Unicorns approach, this is what we were able to achieve. Rob mentioned that, Big Bang inherits 70% of the control mapping and responses. That gets you that faster time to ATO. But we were able to achieve all of these outcomes because our unicorns are able to understand the problem space, and they're able to leverage the secure runtime environment of Big Bang, or a declarative baseline. We do all of this while also striving to improve just the overarching security posture of our systems. At Defense Unicorns, we're evaluating the security before and after deployment, right? And you can see that with how we address things like the software bill of materials, how we leverage declarative baselines, Iron Bank images, and the list below. So yeah, I'm going to actually leave it open to Rob or Andrew if they wanted to add anything to this. But like I said, I'm hoping to show we've done this before. These are our results. The proof is in the pudding, right?
And one of the trigger words here on the slide, I put, we put CATO in quotes because it's sometimes, that's exactly what people want. The continuous authority, continuous authorization. But some program offices, you're obviously working with things like EMAS or maybe your own internal, control software. What we've found is that if you build systems the right way, it doesn't matter what you call it, you can still continuously deliver software in almost any environment. And so we put it in quotes there because a lot of times we work with offices that have no idea what those terms mean. And we simply kind of just ignore them and deal with the, how do you define compliance? What are you looking for? And how do we actually map what we're doing from a configuration and technology perspective to what you're looking for from a compliance perspective?
Okay, I'll move on. So that, like I said, the previous example was a current mission hero. I just wanted to touch on some other mission heroes that we continue to support. We are very excited to support the Navy's Project Blue. They're technically called a program of record. We view them as a program of people because they have some of the most fantastic mission heroes to work with, being Bill Baker and Caitlin Castell. So very fortunate to have an opportunity to work on Navy's Project Blue. And really what we're doing is we're just working on secure software deployments in air-gapped environments, specifically in support of their submarine program, which is PMS 397 Columbia. So very exciting news there. We also support Air Force defensive cyber teams as well. Same concept, right? Delivering secure software capabilities faster. What we're trying to work with defensive cyber teams is really establishing that secure baseline to help them, scale declarative deployments, right? So I don't want to be repetitive, but you can see the trend here. It's how do we help people deliver secure software? And you'll see that with each mission here that we kind of address. We're also in the FedCiv space and supporting Centers for Medicare and Medicaid Services. Same thing, secure software delivery. We also work with a lot of commercial companies, whether they're mission application companies or commercial companies with clear government stakeholders doing the same thing. And the one I'm very, very excited to talk about, we have current engagements with the Space Force, and we're seeing how we can support them in their secure software delivery as we focus on just assured global space operations. So very exciting news there. And with all of that, we'll go to the next slide. I want to save time for questions. All this being said, how can you actually work with us, right? So Defense Unicorns is a veteran-owned small business, right? Zarf, the word that you probably heard a million times today, is actually something called a Small Business Innovative Research Technology. And what's great about that is because we have a SIBR with Zarf, you are able to go direct to us for any type of requirement that extends or derives from the Zarf technology. Being so, we actually have a direct contract with GSA based on Zarf and what we've done with Zarf. And there's about $100 million of that ceiling available. Something else that we offer specifically for in just our government track is this thing that we're calling discovery and framing support. Discovery and framing to us is really our assessment of your current practices and capabilities just from an overarching infrastructure, platform, and software delivery perspective. We fundamentally believe in this offering because we want to ensure our unicorns have a true understanding of your problem space before we start recommending solutions. So this is just like a natural thing that we do. Like, hey, you have a problem. Let's actually make sure we can help you solve it. So that's the government track. If you go to the next slide, Andrew, how can just any company work with us? Honestly, just shoot us a note at the email that you've seen on the banner, this entire presentation. We're interested to learn about your problem space and to see if we can help provide a solution. That's what we're in the business of doing is providing solutions. We want to help you deliver a capability. So if you have a capability, let us help you actually increase your value proposition and let us help you do it in a way that is more secure and accessible and allows you to scale and support even more customers or mission heroes. Side note on this slide, this is important. We talked about freedom of choice, right? And the fact that we are just in the business of delivering mission capabilities. You know, in my personal life, technology is fantastic. I can go into my iPhone. I can search for several applications to see, hey, I want to track my workout. Which one works best for me? Unfortunately, that is not the case for many of our mission heroes. They're oftentimes stuck with the technology because that is their only option that they have left. So we would love to be in a space where we are providing more options and that freedom of choice for our mission heroes. So, and then that, what do you do next? Just shoot us a note, right? Easy enough. If you do nothing else, just say hi.
And we had an awesome question that was basically centered around, how do you guys make money? And really the summation here is we make money by providing support for the technologies we make and the technologies that we co-develop with others. And
I
so
was just going to say, Rob, that you pay us, right?
Yeah, exactly.
No, you pay us.
Well, the specific stuff we focus on is making those declarative baselines that are common. A lot of our customers are using very, very similar baselines and make that repeatable for future customers. And so if you're a new customer, you're struggling with something, there's probably a baseline that's pretty similar to somebody else that we can actually get up and running very, very, very quickly. How we make money is we sell support for those technologies. As Victoria mentioned, like open source company. And so none of this is proprietary. So if you don't think we're doing a good enough job, and it's not working out, the next day, the mission production, it can still go forward as planned. Our belief is that our value proposition is so strong and what we're able to do as a company so compelling that we will give you time back so you can actually focus on the mission. The thing that we've heard on repeat from so many different people that we've talked to is the amount of time that they're spending on software, the amount of time that they're spending on IT. And so what we want to do is work with you to define, how do we define, deliver for you a certain percentage of your system, whether it's your infrastructure, your platform, or configuration around your mission applications, or maybe all of it, to deliver you a package. So that way that's part of the problem that you don't have to worry about. You can say, hey, I'm going to take X% of my funds. I'm going to give it over to this part of the problem. And the rest of my money, the rest of my attention, I'm going to focus on the problems that actually matter, which is the mission. Software is not the mission. Your mission is the mission. Defense Unicorns as a company is to give you that freedom and the ability to actually focus on what matters most. And if that has anything at all to do with something you're interested in, as Victoria and Andrew mentioned, just send us an email, hello@defenseunicorns.com. We'd love to talk to you, or otherwise just send us an email and say hello.
And I want to throw out there too, my 2 cents in this whole thing, just to highlight like how much the entire team is passionate about solving problems. Like we're very invested in making things better. tomorrow than they were yesterday. Winning the war, all of the things. And this is a good point to shout out to the entire Defense Unicorns team. Thank you, Gregory Stack, for the question. How many full-time unicorns are there across the DoD? Right now, Defense Unicorns is just under 90 people in 2 years. So that's like, it's been an incredible, humbling experience of getting amazing people together that are super, super passionate about the mission space and solving problems.
Awesome. With that, hope you guys enjoyed it. We will most likely do this again. So if you missed this, missed this one, or you want to refer other people, if you thought certain parts of the presentation didn't make sense, you have any recommendations for us, we'd love to hear from you. We very much believe in the community. We very much believe in what you're doing. Thank you guys so much for your time, and hope to hear you. Send us an email once again at hello@defenseunicorns.com. Bye, guys.